Hi there. Welcome to Craft with Kathie. Wanted to tell you about a little bit of a special that we have that ends actually tonight at midnight Mountain Time. It's really a great deal. So before I actually get started with this, let me give you the deets on it. $75 purchase or more earns you this basic bag, a mini squeegee, a package of stir sticks, a detail tool, and a multi-tool. Free with a $75 order. How cool is that? And any orders placed before Midnight Mountain tonight will also get you one entry into the Chalk Couture shopping spree. We're giving away 20 separate individual $200 shopping sprees. I think this is so sweet of Chalk to do something like this. They're constantly surprising us with different things, which is just absolutely great. They're such a wonderful company. So long as you know about that, I just put the link up on the screen. If you have any questions, comment vintage and I'll get back to you. Those of you who've been watching me for a while may remember last June I had such issues with vertigo. It was really, really bad. And it was probably caused by allergies, but I know this week I've had the stuffiness, waking up with a slight headache, whatever. And I'm like, they're rearing their ugly head again. The allergies are back, which is really weird. So didn't think too much of it. I didn't really think too much of it until I sat down tonight to cut apart this transfer. Can you see what I did? There's cut lines between some of the wording and different segments of it, but there's no cut lines with the numbers, so you could use them as they are, or you could cut them. You basically do what you want with them, right? Well, I chose to cut them, and it wasn't until I cut between the 1 and the 2 and the 6 and the 7, and I realized, whoa, I'm a lot dizzier than I thought I was. I was sitting down, but I couldn't cut a straight line. So the vertigo is back. Excuse my sloppy cutting. I didn't realize it. It didn't hurt it. I didn't cut through the silk screen at all. No problem with that. Just some of my craziness. Okay, so I'm going to get started on this project. I'm going to be doing a t-shirt. Generally, or a lot of times, I do things on surfaces and signs. But our Tipsy Tuesday tip is you can do signs, you can do fabric. And fabric is really, really hot right now in DIY. Everybody at Pinners was going on and on about it. So I'm going to get started. I'm going to use our little ink mat. If you don't have an ink mat, our ink mats are adhesive. If you don't have an ink mat, grab a smooth piece of cardboard. So I'm turning the shirt inside out to apply the ink mat to the inside. Make sure that I attach it to the front, not the back. And the ink mat will act as a barrier so that ink does not go through, seep through, and alter or change the back of the shirt. So I just place it, stick it down, turn the shirt right side out, make sure everything's nice and smooth. That's pretty much all there is for that. I know I was a little long-winded explaining what I did to the transfer or whatever, but I wanted to give you a heads up. In retrospect, I don't think I would have cut the numbers out, but I'll explain a trick for that. I'm just taking each individual piece that I'm going to be placing on the shirt, folding it in half, and putting a little mark at the center point, and then I'll align that center point with the center of the tag of the back of the shirt. Here I'm just showing how you could use a multi-tool to get into smaller places, or a detail tool to get into smaller places, especially for doing like flowers and buds and flower petals. The small squeegees work really, really nice for that. And the pointy side of the detail tool is good for lifting your transfers, for etching off any oops that you have once your chalk paste is dried. But we're using ink here now. So I'm just making sure everything's smooth. I'm going to align these based on the tag at the top of the shirt. Just kind of see where that center point is. Make sure it's nice and straight. I realized as I was going along with this, a lot of my cuts were actually close to the edge, and that I might have a little bit of an issue, and had to be careful not to go off the edge of my transfer, which is the perfect use for our placement tape. That's what it's intended for. If you have where there is not much not much of the vinyl left, and you're getting a little bit too close to your fabric, put down a piece of placement tape to make sure that you don't go off onto the fabric. In retrospect, I wouldn't have cut the numbers apart. I would have kept them in place and inked each individual number as I went along, and just used my drying tool in between. If you don't have a drying tool, you could actually use a hair dryer on a cool setting. All you want is something with focused air. So I could have basically inked the one, dried it, lifted it up, put the next, centered the next number in that I needed, dried it, gone on to the third number, etc. I could have done it in pieces, and that way I wouldn't have had to worry about how close my numbers were to the actual edge. Live and learn, right? So learn by my mistakes. Not that it was bad. I just went a little bit overboard with the placement tape, as you will soon see, because I didn't want to make any, I wanted to eliminate any chance of it actually going off the cut piece and onto the shirt. If that happens, if you do have an oops, make it a happy accident and add another embellishment or something else there that makes sense. And if worse comes to worse, you could always use ink splatters as part of the design. Right, you do what you do. No one's perfect, and really this inking is easy. The main thing is make sure your fingers are clean. Once you start inking, you don't want any smudges on your fingers that when you go to lift or actually go to apply the ink, that you accidentally get it on the shirt. Like I said, I did go a little bit overboard with the placement tape, but it worked out very, very well, actually. Inking is a lot of fun. If you haven't inked, oh my goodness, you need to try it. And we've got some great transfers in the special section right now that are substantially reduced. And all you really need is a squeegee, some ink, and our ink is available in the small packets, the individual packets right now. Ink, squeegee, and a transfer, and a t-shirt. And if you have something with a stain or that's worn out and you want to cover an oops or something on it, ink it. Bring it back to life. It really is that easy. So I'm just applying my bright white ink here. And remember, it's ink, not paste. The ink is for use on anything that's going to be washed, whether it's fabric, shirt, clothing, ceramic, mugs, something like that. Anything going to be washed, use the ink. Otherwise, use our chalk paste. But the ink does need to be heat set, and you can heat set it with an iron or actually with a heat press. It really depends on what you want to do. And that is really, really simple to do. It doesn't take any special equipment. Obviously, you know, if you have an iron, if you don't have an iron, we might have a little problem. Borrow your neighbors. What can I say, right? But an iron or a heat press and a piece of parchment paper is all you need to heat set. Simple, simple, simple. So I'm almost done with this. I've gone over the up and down a little bit more than I would when I'm chalking, just to give the ink a chance to soak into the fabric. And ink is really cool in that once this is heat set, you don't really feel it. It is kind of like melded with or merged with the fabric, and you could run your hand over it and you probably won't even notice the difference. There's no peeling, no flaking, no cracking. Just wash and wear as you would normally. Now, I didn't do the 6 because I realized it was a little bit too close to the edge, so I wanted to get all this off first and then go back there and fix it. Or actually, I had my placement tape underneath part of my 6, so that's why I'm doing the 6 by itself after I took off the other placement tape between the 6 and the 3. So I'm going to just go do that, and then that's pretty much it. Just keep doing my finger check to make sure that I don't have ink on my fingers because I don't want to smear my fabric. Now, I did realize once I lifted everything up, I did have 2 tiny little smudges that Normally I would probably let dry and then just try and kind of pick off the dried ink with the detailer tool or whatever, but this time I used a little wipe and moistened it with water and just blotted each area off, and they came off fine. So that was really nice and real simple. Getting the cloth wet, and here you could just see me blotting at it. You need to be careful. I was a little close to the numbers, but I'm fine. If you missed an area with ink, clean your transfer, let it dry, place it back down, and re-ink the area if you missed like the top of a letter or a number or something like that. It really is pretty simple. And here I'm just blotting the other one. It took a few takes to get it up, but it did come up nicely. Easy peasy. What do you think, right? Thank you so much for watching. I surely do appreciate it. Any questions, just drop them in the comments. I'm always happy to help out with any design ideas or any advice or answer questions on technique or transfers or whatever. Tomorrow is the debut of our patriotic transfers. It's the release of them, and we got a little sneak peek this afternoon or late this afternoon, and they are just absolutely awesome. I know I had posted something in the VIP group. I had asked about patriotic designs. Drop me a comment. Let me know what you do. Do you decorate for 4th of July, Memorial Day, Labor Day, Flag Day? If you do, let me know. Do you decorate outside? Do you decorate inside? Do you decorate your car? Do you wear clothing that's appropriate? Let me know where your interest lies, and tomorrow morning I'll decide what I'm buying. Everything looks so good. They're just really an amazing assortment. They're beautiful. And they are bringing back a select few from last year, so that's going to be cool too. I had to take a second look myself. This transfer is distressed, and I realized the top of the 6 and the middle of the 3 looked a little like I had missed it. Nope, that's the design. Thank you so much for stopping by. Have a wonderful evening. See you soon.